Hey everybody, it's Emily at Arg Schooling, and I'm going through what we're using for our 10th grade year this year. And today's focus is going to be on read-alouds. Because yes, I still read aloud to my teens. My daughter is going into 10th grade. We're doing a really fun year focusing on morbid history and science, and our read aloud selections are going to reflect that. I've organized them to kind of fit. They don't all fit perfectly, but most of them will fit within what we're studying. So let's get right into it. We're kicking off the year with one of my favorites. We're going to read Unwind by Neil Shusterman. I've been trying to convince her that she needs to read this. And so we're just going to do it together. We're going to read this book. And I'm so excited to see her reaction to it. This is one of my favorite, weird, creepy books. This is, I've talked about this before, so I'm not going to go too in depth, but this is a story set in the near future about what would have happened if America went to war over reproductive rights. And they're called the Heartland Wars, and they end in a compromise whereby abortion is completely illegal, but you can have your child unwound between the ages of 13 and 18. And this way, your child is technically still alive, but their body parts are all used in medicine. So you're not really killing them. You're just using their parts for various things. And so they've eliminated a lot of health problems. And you can solve a lot of health problems by using all these teenage parts. And this is a story following a few characters who are set to be unwound, and they are trying to escape that fate. And it's such a weird story, but it has a lot to talk about. There's a lot to think about. And I just think, what great way to kick off our year of morbid history and science by talking about something so incredibly morbid. And so I'm excited. After much deliberation, I decided our Shakespeare this year is going to be Hamlet. And so I grabbed the graphic novel version because that went over so well last year. She really liked the Macbeth graphic novel. So I guess we're going to do Hamlet with this as well. And yeah, I don't need to go too in depth here. I picked it because I think she'll like the story a lot. It's also dark. There's ghosts, there's murder. So I think she'll enjoy this. And I think we'll probably watch the movie. I think we're going to watch the Kenneth Branagh because Is there a better Hamlet? Let me know. But I think we're probably going to do the Kenneth Branagh Hamlet movie after reading it. A year of morbid history, I wanted to read something fun. Have some fun, light moments mixed in. So we're going to do Reaper Man. This is one of the Discworld books by Terry Pratchett. I think this is the first, or no, this is, I think, maybe the second. I didn't want to do Mort again. I just reread Mort this year, and it was already a reread, and I was like, no, I really want to move on. So I don't think we're going to do Mort. I might give her that to read on her own if she likes this, but we're just going to jump into Reaper Man next. I don't know what this is specifically. It just says on the back, death is missing, presumed, or gone. And so I'm just going to assume. I know it's a death book, but I'm assuming that we're going to be on a manhunt for death. And it sounds fun. I love Mort so much. It's one of my favorite Discworld books. I love Death as a character. He's my favorite character in Discworld, so I'm so excited to read that. It's going to be really fun. We're also going to be doing a Stephen King. I was debating which one, and she voted for Pet Sematary. It was between this and The Shining, and she's already seen this movie. So, as far as adaptations go, that one's pretty true to the book. So I was like, maybe, but she really wanted to read this. So that's what we're going to read. We're going to read Pet Sematary because I wanted another death book, and this is certainly that. This is a story. Do I need to go in depth here? I don't think so. But this is a story about a family who stumbles upon a ancient Indian burial ground where if you bury something there, it comes back. But it's not the same. This is one of my favorite Stephen King's. I've read this book many times over the years. I've seen all of the movies that have come out. The original 1989 one, I think, is my favorite. But I did watch the remake of Pet Sematary. It was not good. And I did see, what was it called? Bloodlines or something like that. That was also not good. So I didn't like any of that. But the original movie and this book have a special place in my heart. I have two options for this next read aloud, and I don't know which to do yet. One I've already read, one I haven't, but they both sound like good potentials here. So I'm going to let Regina pick which one we actually do when we get there. But I have Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune, which I read, if you were in my book club, you read this with me last year, I think. I think we did this last year. And this is a story about a man who has lived a very, boring life, kind of. He's never really tried to do anything new or different or really explored who he is as a person. And then he dies and finds himself in this afterlife where he's forced to reckon with what was his life, what was the purpose of his life, what was he for, and move on from that. And it's a whole lot of found family, and it's just really good. I loved this book so much. And I kind of want Regina to read it, but I don't know if this is for her. I don't know if she'll enjoy it as much. So as my maybe we'll do this instead, I have More Than This by Patrick Ness. Me and Patrick Ness we're not, I don't know. It's a love-hate situation because I loved his Chaos Walking trilogy. That is one of my favorite trilogies of all time. It's so good. And every time I've picked up a Patrick Ness since then, it's been not for me. And I'm like, what was that? Was that a one-off? Is this your epic and everything else is mediocre? I don't know. But I want this to be good. This is a story about someone stuck in limbo after they've died and trying to figure out what they're supposed to do now that they're dead. What is this afterlife? So it sounds promising. And I'm hoping it's good. I do like that the chapters are really short. That just tends to make a book read really fast. So this could potentially be something she reads to herself. And then we read this together. I don't know yet. But these are my two options here, and I couldn't decide between them. I know we're reading Unwind at the beginning of the year, but I really want to fit this in. And we're going to read Scythe by Neil Shusterman because, how can we talk about murder in a whole murder unit and not read Scythe? It belongs here. And I'm kind of hoping she gets so into it that we end up reading the whole trilogy. But bare minimum, we're going to read Scythe. This is, again, one of my absolute favorite things ever. And I'm so excited to introduce her to it. This is a story about a future world in which we've conquered death. People can live forever and no one experiences pain anymore. And we have to control the population by use of these people called Scythes, whose job it is to murder people and control the population from getting out of hand. This is the only way you can really die. Everything else they can bring you back. But if you are killed by a Scythe, you are dead. So what happens to people when they have that kind of power? And also, the whole concept of the Thunderhead and, this government system being gone because we don't need leaders like that anymore. We have the Thunderhead, this perfect, not human being who can, the sentient cloud, who can, help us to have our best lives and control everything from this neutral standpoint. It's so interesting. It's so interesting. So I'm excited. You good, Drew? So I'm excited to introduce her to this. This one I'm on the fence. I need to read it first because I just stuck it in our pile because it fits theme-wise, but I don't really know anything about it. It has decent reviews, so I'm hoping it's good. This is The Name of the Star by Maureen Johnson. So this is a story about a girl from Louisiana who's sent to London to go to this boarding school. And while she's there, somebody is recreating the murders of Jack the Ripper. And Ripper Mania has taken over and everyone's talking about it. And she believes she's seeing the person who is committing these crimes, but no one else sees him. Maybe he's a ghost. We don't know. It says it's an edge-of-your-seat thriller full of suspense and humor and romance. It sounds like it's potentially something we're going to want to read together, but this could also end up being a book Regina reads to herself. I don't know yet. We're going to figure it out when we get to it. I do want to read this, though. This is Warrior Girl Unearthed by Angeline Booley. I read The Firekeeper's Daughter a few years ago when it first came out and loved that. I pre-ordered this and haven't gotten to it yet. This came out last year. So I really want to make this happen because I think it's going to be another favorite. And it fits with our murder because I think this has to do with like a murder mystery investigation. Yeah. The main character's family becomes embroiled in a high-profile murder investigation. So topically it fits. I don't really know too much more though because I didn't want to read the whole synopsis. So I don't know details, but I've heard good things. And it does have to do with a murder investigation. So it does fit within our murder unit. So I think it'll work. Okay, this next one is another, I don't know yet. I need to read it first, but it's so hard to find what I'm looking. I wanted a book set in Pompeii, set when Mount Vesuvius erupts. Like, that is what I'm looking for. But there's not a lot of options. And so I picked this up because it sounds the most promising. But I don't know yet if this is something that Regina would even like. I have the audio. I need to listen to a little bit of it and see if it's going to work. And that is A Day of Fire, a novel of Pompeii. This is by a whole bunch of different authors. So we have Kate Quinn, Stephanie Dray, Ben Kane, Eliza Knight, Sophie Perrineau, Victoria Alvier. And we're following a bunch of different characters. I think each author might have a different character. And each character's experiences during the eruption, I think. And I think it's like all set within the same day or two of like the events of the eruption. So I'm really curious about it. It's been on my radar for a while because I just wanted to read it. It sounds interesting. And when I went to go figure out what else there, like I was hoping to find like a YA book, but there doesn't seem to be anything for YA. Like there's like children's books, like little kid books and adult books. There's not a whole lot in between. So like that's something people could do. Like could somebody write that in time for us to get to it this spring, in spring 2025, let's do it. But I'm hoping this will work for what I'm looking for. And my alternate, if that falls apart, we're just going to not read about Pompeii at all and read this instead. This is A Suffragist's Guide to the Antarctic by Yi Shun Lai. This is YA. Not about Pompeii at all, and not also a thing that's covered. Like, there's nothing specifically about Arctic traveling and that sort of thing in that unit, but this sounds interesting. So this is about a girl who ends up on this crew of the Resolute, and she is not sneaking on the crew, but she's not being completely honest about who she is or why she's there. And then they end up traveling to the Arctic, and it says, even marooned on the ice, I won't stop fighting for women's rights or for survival. Out here in the wilderness of Antarctica, I can demonstrate what a woman is truly capable of. So I think this could be fun. So if A Day of Fire isn't going to work out, we'll read this one instead. Then we're going to read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I've been really wanting to get to this. I had it in our pile last year and it just didn't happen. So it's definitely going to happen this year because I think she's going to like it. So we're going to read this when we get to our Weird Medicine unit at the end of the year. And then I'm going to follow that up with Anatomy, a Love Story by Dana Schwartz, because this is so good and I think Regina will really like it. This has a lot of things in it that I think she's going to really enjoy. It's very gothic, very dark, lots of grave digging, studying corpses, a girl doing like practicing to become a surgeon. It's gruesome, so I think she'll really like this. So this is what will end our year. So I'm really excited. Oh, and I forgot. So we're also going to try to read the new Hunger Games when it comes out. Sunrise on the Reaping. I think it comes out in March. I don't know where that's going to fit in our year, but I've kind of earmarked it so that we could squeeze that in because we're big Hunger Game fans here. And so I wanted to make sure we had time for that. So that is everything I've planned for our 10th grade read aloud list. We're not going to get to everything, like we never do. I always overplan, but there's a lot going on here that I'm really excited about that I think Regina's going to love. I can't wait to hear like her reaction to all of these books because she's always got so much to say and it always ends up going in a direction I don't expect. So you're going to want to stay tuned for when we get to the end of our school year and I do our read aloud review and have her rank everything and see what we actually get to and what she really thinks of all these books. So that's going to be all for this video. So our next video is going to be about what we're doing for math and English, so stay tuned for that and I will see you then. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Happy reading. Bye.